旅行者，派蒙，你们好。我听说荣彩祭会有向导，却没想到是你们。
嘿嘿，我们也没想到，万叶竟然会以荣彩祭嘉宾的身份回到稻期。
接到邀请函时，我也有些诧异。不过在外面漂泊久了，能借此机会回到故土，祭拜一下故人也不错。
万叶，我们刚才远远的看见你好像正在找什么东西，发生什么事了？
是这样的，刚才我跟着大家下船的时候，突然听到身边响起了很轻的脚步声，那种脚步绝不是一般乘客。可我回过头时，那人已经不见了，只有栈桥下传来了扑通一声响。我没找到对方的踪影，不过却在脚边发现了一张奇怪的纸。
万叶，你捡到的纸上是不是写了一首诗？
你们怎么知道？啊，竟然还有这种事！在这里，请吧。
上次葵之翁的诗最后提到了赤人，果然这一篇就是赤人的故事了。这次的故事大致是说，赤人因为喜欢用红色的印章，才有了这个雅号。不过他却因为剽窃被将军发现，然后被流放了。怎么说呢？如果要评价的话，今天的故事听起来不是很吉利。
我倒觉得这篇故事并不妥。我之前也曾经是被幕府通缉的要犯，和故事里的赤人也差不多。
这篇故事里的赤人做了坏事，被将军流放时咎由自取，和万叶一点都不一样。喂，你在想什么呢？
对了，你们刚才提到有位朋友最近正苦于签名太慢，是吗？在璃月和稻期的确都有印章等同于签名的说法，这说不定是个可行的主意。在海上航行时，我偶尔会雕刻些东西打发时光。如果要做印章，或许我也能出一份力。
哇，那就太好了！我们现在先去找阿贝多商量一下吧。手伝う方法を見つけたぞ。
やはり五河川の物語はまた現れたか。そんな方法まで一緒とは。印象。そうだね。確かに効率の高そうな方法だね。それなら行く秋は筆跡の問題に悩まなくて済む。しかし行く秋は以前すでにサインを読者に公開したことがある。もし今回の新刊で印象を使えば誠意が足りないと思われてしまうんじゃないかな。僕にもう一つ考えがある。もちろん印象もそのうちの一部だ。今から右遊亭へ向かいみんなと相談してみよう。
さあ頑張ってください、陳玉先生。今日書かれた字は目まぐるしい進歩を遂げています。きっと昨日の特訓が効いたんですよ。
ダメだ。もう腕が上がらない。こうなることが分かっていれば今までも書道の授業で小説を読んだりしなかったのに。
先ほど10分も休憩したところですよ。もう少し頑張ってください。
主任、さすが我々の中で最も恐ろしい原稿催促をするお方。
道理で八重様は面倒な作者に対していつも最後には主任を出向かせるのね。恐ろしいぜ。ちょっと見ない間に行明がまるで魂の抜け殻みたいな感じになっちゃってるぞ。
編集主任、実は先ほどいい方法を見つけたんだ。みんなが直面しているこの苦境から抜け出せるかもしれない。いいゆえと稲妻では印象が広く使われていて、一般的にサインと同等のものとして扱われる。この考えを応用すればサインをより簡単にすることができるはずだ。もちろん印象だけでは不十分だ。だから2つの要素でサインを構成するのはどうだい？まずは個人の印象。これは陳玉先生のサインを模型にして作る。同時に僕が陳玉先生に美しくかつ書きやすいものをデザインする。先生はそれぞれの小説にそのデザインを書くだけでいい。
そうですね。この方法なら問題ないでしょう。作者の直筆も入っていますし、見た目も間違いなく良いものになりそうです。
本当か？つまり僕は助かったのか？
主任、思ったんですが、以前現場でのサイン販売を諦めたのって作家先生のサインに時間がかかってしまうことを考慮したからですよね。ですがこの形でのサインなら現場でサイン販売ができるんじゃないでしょうか。それに全ての作家先生がこの形を採用すれば陳玉先生のサインだけが浮いてしまうという事態も防げるはずです。
ああ、君たちさえ良ければ僕も喜んで他の作家先生にサインをデザインしよ
う。印象の彫刻は拙者に任せるでござる。
それでは今から新刊即売会に出席される他の2名の作家先生に連絡してまいります。
白亜先生にサインを作っていただけるなんて光栄です。
俺の失明は複雑だからサイン販売には向かなかったんだ。これでやっと夢が叶う。
よかった。みんなこの案に賛同してくれたみたいだな。
何日にもわたって陳玉先生にはご苦労をおかけしてしまい本当に申し訳ございません。どうぞごゆっくりお休みになってください。後のことは我々にお任せを。すでにサインの終わった小説については今後八重堂のイベントで特別特典として使わせていただきますね。
これでやっと解決ですね。
みんなのおかげで僕も小野寺さんも苦境から抜け出すことができたよ。
やっと自由になれたな。外に行って新鮮な空気でも吸ってこいよ。
小野寺さん、後で即売会の変更を八重様に報告してきてください。この案ならきっと八重様も気に入ってくださいます。あなたは頭の回転が速い。あとはもう少し落ち着いて行動を取れるようになればきっと将来は大事をなせるでしょう。
ありがとうございます主任。
これが俗に言う災い転じて福となすってことかな。新刊即売会がサイン即売会になるなんて。
最近活気のある若者がよく店に来る。
我が義教心は傑物にも。
We still have some time to burn. Where should we go next?
Traveler, there you are.
Oh, it's Ayaka! And Venti! That's an interesting combo.
I was just going to the festival venue to prepare the Ikebana lesson when I found a strange piece of paper on a flower stand. This bard just happened to be close by at the time. He informed me that you've also found similar papers recently. As such, we came together to find you two.
But the paper she found isn't quite the same as the ones we found before.
Here's the paper. Please have a look.
Huh. All the poems we found before were roughly the same length. But this one is only 2 lines.
And even though there are only 2 short sentences, neither of them are next to the title or centered on the page. The position of the writing seems to indicate that there is other content written on this paper besides these 2 lines.
If we take the poem literally, it reads, "Dip this paper in water and see the truth naturally appear." Speaking of which, I have an ancient text at home, specializing in ancient and exotic stories. It mentions a special ink that will show itself when wet and disappear when it's dry.
So, shall we give it a whirl? It just so happens that there's a pond nearby.
Is there anything in the world that would satisfy my taste buds?
Wow, look! It's really working! More words have appeared on the paper! Let Paimon see what it says. The story says that after Sumizomi got the collection of poems from Akihito and put them into a stream of water, the plagiarized words in the poem became blurry. Huh? Why would that happen?
You see, Paimon, in the past, when printing was not yet well developed, handwritten text could easily become smudged in books when exposed to moisture. To ensure the text lasted longer, they'd either write using a special ink or coat the paper's surface with a waterproof coating once the writing was finished. Such special inks are time-consuming and laborious to produce, and the waterproof coating could also prove just as difficult. However, since Akihito's poetry collection was an important gift to be presented to the shogun, surely one of those 2 methods was used to protect it. But as for the plagiarized poems, not only would they lack Akihito's seal, but the words would also react differently when exposed to liquid.
Which means Akihito didn't plagiarize his work. He was set up!
Yes, it appears that this is the truth that Sumizome's story is trying to convey. Although the story is saddening, I've decided on the subjects to use for Akihito and Sumizome's portraits. Kazuha, Ayaka, would you be willing to be the models for my paintings?
I would be delighted.
Yes, as would I.
There you go! The next 2 portraits should be ready in no time!
Yes. And now that all 4 stories have all been collected, the story of the 5 Kasen is not fully completed.
Long ago, Inazuma had 5 legendary poets. People bestowed upon them the title of the 5 Kasen.
One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akahito.
Akahito had once belonged to the 5 Kasen. Each poem he composed, he marked with a scarlet red seal, hence the Aka in his name. Such a distinguished writer was he, and yet one of the poems he had submitted the previous year was found to be plagiarized. Akahito was exiled for his crimes, and only 4 of the 5 Kasen remained.
Sumizome went over Akihito's poems and noticed that the plagiarized poem lacked his seal. She immersed his poetry in a stream nearby, and only on the plagiarized poem did the ink run. Aoi no Okina passed by and witnessed Sumizome's doing, which he then recorded in a poem. Thus transpired the events of Suiko's poetry submission, and this is where the story comes to an end.
Completed the story of the 5 Kasen, there's still one thing Paimon hasn't been able to figure out. One of the 5 Kasen is called Kuranushi, right? It's just that, how could the story of the 5 Kasen finish without him appearing at all?
Oh, have you really not noticed?
Huh? Not noticed what? This is no time to be playing games, Tone Deaf Bard!
What he means is that the story of Kuranushi was already embedded within the 4 poems.
Huh? Really?
That's right. The key lies in the poem that Aoi no Okina wrote after seeing Sumizome rinsing the poetry collection. An average person could never understand the scene of a young girl washing Akahito's poetry collection in a stream. Even Aoi no Okina couldn't figure out the meaning behind Sumizome's actions. He was simply reminiscing and thinking about his old acquaintances. However, for the perpetrator who framed Akahito, it was completely obvious. He was worried that if this poem was seen by the Shogun, then the Shogun could discover the truth behind the plagiarism incident. If that happened, then he'd be finished. So in desperation, he threatened Aoi no Okina to make him tear out this poem.
Which means the one who threatened Aoi no Okina is the same person that framed Akahito! What? Kuranushi?
That's right. Though there are only 4 poems, they still managed to tell the complete story of all 5 Kasen. Since the Shogun mentioned in the poems is certainly not the one of the 5 Kasen, the only character left is the mysterious one with an unknown identity.
Oh, okay. Paimon is finally starting to get it now.
However, this also brings something else to mind. The story of the 5 Kasen has more or less reflected everything that's been happening around us lately. Which begs the question, is there a Kuranushi in our world as well?
A Kuronushi? In our world?
Speaking of which, I wonder if our dear Kazuha has come up with anything.
Oh, right! Kazuha! He's been pretty quiet this whole time. Let's ask him!万叶，你怎么了？从刚才开始就一直站在这幅空白的画布前，而且脸色也不太好。
抱歉，虽然这只是我们的猜测，不过五歌仙故事是不是让你联想到了什么？
我刚刚的确想到了一些事，只不过那些都是我家的一些陈年旧事吧。虽然我并不介意告诉大家，但我觉得不该再麻烦你们了。
万叶，我们都是你的朋友，没有麻烦不麻烦这一说。
风原，请恕我冒昧，你所想之事是否与雷电五传有关？
雷电五传？那是什么？
看来我和神力小姐所想的是同一件事。这件事与摄凤行也有不小的关系，不知道你是否同意我把它告诉大家？
在场大家都是值得信赖的人，说出来也无妨。只不过这件事要解释起来有些复杂，还是让我先从雷电五传讲起吧。各位知道，摄凤行主要掌管祭祀活动与文化传承，而道期的断刀技艺也是其中极为重要的部分。雷电五传曾经是道期最为顶尖的5个断刀流派。这5个家族虽是刀匠世家，却也在摄凤行有不小的官职。只可惜，现在雷电五传已经只剩下天幕流仍有师徒传承。一心传虽然技艺失传，但所幸还有后人在世，而风原家就正是一心一脉的后人。
我们原来只知道万叶家曾经是贵族，没想到竟然还与摄凤行和断刀有关。
不过这都是很早以前的事了。一心传在我曾祖父那一代就没落了。我爷爷不满曾祖父的无所作为，在年轻时曾经游历提瓦特，寻找重振家业的办法，可惜最终没能成功。而到我这里，更是连仅剩的祖宅都失去了。
之前我听兄长提起过，雷电五传的没落非常快，在短短数十年里，就有3家遭遇种种不幸，最终彻底消失。然后就有人猜测，这些不幸其实都是有人暗中操作的结果。有人想要灭绝雷电五传，不过由于雷电五传并没有完全消失，这种说法最终也只是被当作坊间传闻而已。
对，我之前也一直是这么认为的。不过我知道，曾祖父年轻时曾发生过一件大事。那件事不仅牵扯到我们丰原一族，甚至差点动摇了神里家在摄凤行的地位。我读到五歌仙的故事后，就隐约意识到，他似乎正在提示我那件事的真相。
万叶，当年到底发生过什么？
关于那件事的一些细节，我还需要找人求证。大家明天中午再到这里会合吧，到时候我会把知道的一切都详细告诉你们。
伊格著文章，自言。
欢迎回家。